What's going on, everybody? Core Conversations for Tuesday. Excuse me. It's a Freestyle Tuesday, and I'm considering this a do-over from yesterday's conversation about bragging. Instead of using the word bragging, we're going to talk about celebrating our impact, the impact that we have on others. Lisa, what's going on? Misty Lynn Cawthon, how are you? Shannon, hi. Misty, do you want to jump on? You want to join me this morning for a chat? I have an interesting guest tomorrow. I'm not sure how it's going to go down. So since I have you here, if you're good, stop. Today is nothing really planned except that the conversation I had with Debbie Robbins is too funny. Thanks for sharing. Yesterday, I wanted to talk about the legacy and the impact that we've had on others. I used the word brag, which was a real sensitive topic, and it ended up being a 40-minute conversation about shifting the word from bragging to looking at accomplishments and impact and stuff like that. I have to say, you know, with that good Christian upbringing, stuff like that, you're not supposed to brag, you're not supposed to boast, you're not supposed to be prideful and arrogant. And all that is true. But when you're speaking to someone who is humble and someone who is overly humble, I almost like to use words that are uncomfortable to draw them a little bit more out of themselves than you would normally do. Going way over to this extreme over here might bring them just a little bit more over this way. So there was a bit of intention to using the uncomfortable word of bragging, when really what I wanted us to do is just look at what we do and celebrate who we are and how much we've invested and the impact that we've had. So that being said, I'm going to throw that out again today. This is our do-over. I want to talk about the ways that we have had an impact on some of the people, yes, and the people we've worked with. And yes, as Shannon saying, brag is the wrong word. You can share accomplishments and still be humble. Exactly, you can. You can. It's just fun to make people uncomfortable with the word in that way, because the reality is that there is a space where we can be humble and we can share and celebrate what we've done. But then people are like, well, I don't want to brag, but it's like, no. You're just sharing. You're allowed to share. You are allowed to share. I did like Debbie's point yesterday about saying, like, that is their story to share, which is true. You know, like, people, that's their story to share. And if they were here, I'd allow them to share it. But for us business owners, there comes a point where people want to see your resume. They want to see your track record. They want to be reassured that what they're getting into is a good fit for them. And there's places for that, right? So taking a more gentle approach today and saying, you know, what is the impact that you've had? What are some of your success stories? What's the story that you hear that just makes your heart warm? It makes you feel like, this is why I got into this industry. Shannon has a comment here. When I find I share my accomplishments, I have the chance to spotlight how others have helped me along the way. Yeah. I'm going to read that again. I find when I share my accomplishments, I have the chance to spotlight how others have helped me along the way. Yes, exactly. That's a fantastic way of bringing it to light, saying, like, this is what I've done, and these are the people that brought me to this place. That's totally loud. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I was sharing that with someone this morning. We were talking about these core conversations and how, in my opinion, this platform has been successful because of you. Because we take the time to listen to one another, we take time to share one another's stories. Like, this is not the Martin Reed show, because if none of you showed up, if I didn't have a Debbie Robbins in the room yesterday, no one would come. Like, there would be nothing interesting. There wouldn't have been anything of real import if it was just me by myself all the time. So it's going where Joe says here in the comments, no one gets there alone. Exactly. Um, exactly. Brooke, how are you? Brooke, you've been on an amazing adventure. I've been loving watching your everything that you're doing, climbing hills and streams and water skiing and the whole nine. Fantastic. And it's a freestyle. Brooke, would you like to join us? I don't know where you are in the world right now, but if you're free and want to jump on, you'd love to have you. And if not, that's totally fine too. I think I'm living vicariously through Brooke's experiences because of, yes, it's good to pause all the time because I'm in the middle of the grind right now. And liking my purpose and place in life, but also pine for those moments of being able to just be like, you know what, I can stop today. It's good. Times and seasons, my friends, times and seasons. So Brooke, if you can even type something, we're just talking about sharing some of the success stories, some of those warm stories from your clients, like the person, those affirming moments. I feel like I'm just reaching for someone to just give some kind of story. And I think that there's times that I look at some of the experiences and I got something from yesterday that make you feel like I am in the right place at the right time. I've chosen the right career. I'm glad I said yes to that opportunity. I'm glad I took that certification course. I'm glad I bumped into that person that invited me to try a class. Whatever it is, those moments. Remember, like even Brooke here, she said, Super was talking about that see it, be it moment. And she was talking about that time that she heard someone or saw someone do something and realized that she could be that too. She saw it and realized she could be it. And yes, like that aha moment is one thing to have that see it, be it moment. Is another thing to be living in that moment, being like, this is it. And yeah, it's fun. I have a post that I got to put up later. I can't share it now because it's I'm working with a young person. I don't want to put his face up on the social media there. So I had to crop the picture a little bit. But I had some fun time working with a young person yesterday. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, I couldn't be in a better place right now. This is fun. Fit Club Pilates has a story. One of my 63-year-old runners completed his 5th 10K of the year and said it's thanks to Thai massage and take care of his mind and body. And that is fantastic. 63 years old, completed his 5th 10K. Said it's thanks to Thai massage and taking care of his mind and body. That's crazy. That sort of thing is fantastic, and it makes you feel like you're just an integral part. And like we were saying yesterday, it's funny how like in those situations they put all the credit, they give you so much the credit when you realize that they're putting in so much work and investment and time and stuff that we all celebrate one another. Debbie Robbins, we are, this is part 2 of yesterday's conversation, and I rebranded it to say celebrating our impact. I rephrased it. We dropped the brag word out of our conversation today, and now, funny enough, the stories are coming out. So Shannon is saying, as a leader in the cadet program, seeing cadet move on and come back and say thanks means so much. It does, and those are good moments. I think that when someone can come back, circle back around to say hi and to say thank you, that means so much. And Carol, I'd love to hear your stories. The Pilates Thinker has joined, and I think that what we're sharing is just some of the stories of success stories, those moments where you felt like I am in the right place at the right time. That moment when you're just doing something with someone, if someone comes back and just makes you feel good with just the words of thanks, right? And oh, That's like show and tell. This letter right here is from a client. It's a client who said, I'm not going to train with you anymore. I'm going to give this a try on my own. I'm going to go back to this place where I used to be. And that was a fun ride. That story is, that's only part of the story. The other part is that we started to train during COVID where there's nowhere else to train. She lost over 30 pounds. She found herself. She had gone through some life changes, life stages, and this was a time to get her body back, get her mind back, get her confidence back. And she felt like she hit all of those benchmarks. And she felt like now's the time to give this a try on my own. So it wasn't like I'm not satisfied with the work. It was actually like, I think I'm ready to spread my wings and goodbye. And that felt good, because I don't know about you, but being in the personal training world for a while before getting into this Pilates thing, people would just ghost you. They'd show up, then they'd cancel, then they stop calling to cancel, and then they're gone. So you don't get a chance to even say goodbye. This was actually a goodbye, embrace, thank you, I'm still here thing. So like, there's those moments like that where it's like, I felt like while we were working together, someone found themselves, found their goals, and found the confidence they needed to move on to the next chapter of their lives. That's a good feeling. I'm going to read Shannon's comment here. It's even better when they come from officers themselves and they have had a chance to be the change that they see. Yes. Yeah, that's amazing, Shannon, your work with the cadets. That's such an investment in people's lives. That's amazing. I'm going to read Fit Club Pilates, who was talking about her 63-year-old who ran 5 10Ks. People often share all the positive experience that they receive from us and brag to all their friends. To me, I'm just doing a job and to help them, and I enjoy it. Well, yes. Well, you know, it's funny that you say that, because I remember when I made a post about this. There's these firefighters who there's a Battleford fire in this area, and you know, it's all hands on deck. So many firefighters were there, and sorry. Let me start over again. These firefighters were part of a rescue, and they received merit awards for this rescue. And in their speech, they were saying that they reluctantly accept the award because they know that anybody in their platoon would have done the exact same thing. They were just doing their job. They were the ones that were there and had to step up, but they're confident that anyone in their platoon would have done the same thing. So they're receiving an award for something that is their job, something that they were called to do, something that they're gifted and talented to do. So it was interesting how he said it in a very humble way, but as to say, like you, I'm just doing my job. So that, I think, still is the thing that I think needs to be celebrated. And that's the thing that we celebrate here. And in the same way that, you know, in our city, we celebrate those things, like, because I mean, like, I'm not running into a burning building to fire, you know, to save someone for a profession. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so the fact that they've done all the steps, and like Shannon was saying, all the people that helped brought them to that moment to make that moment happen, you're celebrating all of those things when you're celebrating that moment. Yes. So let's keep this conversation going. Debbie, I don't know if you want to join me again and just talk about how the rest of your day went with that, but I had some conversation with some clients after about this as well. Misty, if you want to join us, give me a thumbs up if you're properly clothed at this moment. And yes, let's just say, I agree. Take it all in and be humble. All right. Let's bring Misty in. Let's have some fun with this. Hello, my friend.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. I'm so glad I'm getting to talk to you since I won't be here tomorrow.
Nice. That's great. I have the guy I have in tomorrow is Gurpreet something. I met him on LinkedIn, and he has developed an app for doing like almost like a neighborhood watch, a community reporting thing that's almost like Facebook.
Sorry. It's a really big B.
I'm gonna mail you like a samurai sword or something so you could just be like, and
It's
just like,
exactly what I need. Oh man.
wow.
Sorry. I mean, it's big, wasn't it? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I was about to just, tears were about to come. I was about to share my story, and then that happened. But no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So anyway, so it'll be interesting talking with him and just hearing like how that ties in. Like he's like, there's one thing to talk community and all these different things, another thing to just make it digital, and how that's gonna like what the uptake's gonna be like on that, and because it really depends on a community believing that this is something that's gonna help.
It's
I don't
kind of
know.
like
So
next door, isn't it?
yes,
I would
but it's
think.
next door. It's next door in real time. Like next door is slow, like slow.
I've never tried it. I'm just kind of like, I don't really want to interact with people this way. It just feels very weird. So I
Yeah.
don't next door. But yeah, I think it I remember being a kid, and we may have talked about this before, and there was the neighborhood watch,
Hmm.
and it was this pre-technology, obviously, and there was something very comforting about the neighborhood watch, especially as a kid, knowing that the neighbors are looking out the window and you're walking down the street from the school bus and
Right.
all of that. And I feel like more things need to happen to get communities and neighborhoods in particular to feel like neighborhoods again. So
Yes.
in that regard, I think it's a great idea. Now, how does it work? If it's live in real time, I think that's super great and really important.
Hmm.
But how does it work to bring people together when people are so distant? I'm not sure.
Not sure. Yeah, I'm sure he's thought that through. So I'm gonna ask him those questions because I know that the Nextdoor app is good for that interactions. It's hyper local. Like I can just talk to just Metaville people and it's people that it's helped. I have people like come to my Pilates class, like I've seen you on Nextdoor for weeks, and that sort of thing. But the times that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be at this place. I'd love to meet you as resident. Da 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 da. See you on Saturday. The post doesn't come up till like Tuesday. It's like, okay, well, that's
Oops.
oops, right? So now I don't depend on it that way. But
Well, no one
um,
plans that far in advance these days, so you can forget it.
right, yeah, yeah. Neighborhoods are good until your favorite neighborhood.
Michael used to live well, actually, in my condo, he used to live like 4 doors that way. So
Yeah.
we would see each other all the time.
No, that's tough. Yeah. Was it? I think it's in the Obama book where he talks about neighborhoodliness.
Oh, I like
I,
that
I like
term.
I like that term. I've used it in a couple of posts. I'm trying to like make it a word, make it a thing, because there's neighborhoods, but they lack neighborhoodliness. Like people don't look out for one another and care for one another and check your mail, look up, make sure your kids are, that sort of thing, right? Like,
Very, very true. Like we used to have, well, first of all, there were kids on every block. So,
mhm,
you just knew all the kids. We'd get together, we'd do things, we'd fight, we'd make up, we'd do all this stuff. And the parents would talk and interact. And even the people who didn't have parents, I mean, sorry, didn't have children,
mhm,
interacted because, they might have needed a kid to cut the grass or, someone
yes,
to come and feed their pets when they went on vacation or whatever it was. There was so much more community. Now
yeah,
to get someone to walk your pets, you go to an app. And,
yes,
if you want
right,
to find out where the community event is, there's no, clearinghouse in the center of a
hmm,
community. You have to find it on an app, and it's app and app and app. And there's no real reason to interact with the person next door
right,
because there's an app for that. And hey, if you forget the sugar, you can have it sent to you by Instacart. So,
right,
and I really think that has a lot, as a huge contributing factor to the fact that at least in the United States. I'm not sure how it is for you guys that are abroad, but you know, we don't have the connection to community anymore. We don't have the connection to, you know, the things that used to hold people together and teach people how to disagree in a way that is supportive and uplifting and not calling people names. And you know, because you still had to see that person every day. You certainly weren't going to call them a whatever, because they were going to be watching you as you cut your grass. So
it's true.
you know, and there's so much sprawl and all of these things, and I just, it's sad for me. You know, I look at my son who, well, you know, now all of his friends have cars and they still find a way to get together, but it's not the same as we had it. I think we had it so great. Of course, our parents were working, we were latchkey kids, and you know, we were seeing each other in milk cartons or whatever, but you know, at the same time, it taught us a lot. I think a lot of that gets lost when you don't have that neighborhoodliness that you discussed.
Exactly. Before I read Sonny's comment here, there's some of the streets that I've talked with people, and it's almost like some of these streets have it. Like, talk about like those micro communities. Like, there's some people that are like, you know, this half of the street are all tight. We do this, we have parties, whatever. Like, you know, my wife is sick, and one time she walked away, and then someone called me, my cell phone rang, and they found it in the street and brought her back. You know what I mean? Like, so there are some pockets of our communities where this still happens, but is not infectious, for lack of a better word. It's like here and that's it. It's like, how do we get more of that happening?
Sure. And even, you know, I'm hearing myself say this, and I'm remembering, you know, Michael that commented earlier, you know, we lived near each other in condos, and
like condo townhomes, or like
townhomes. Okay. And, you know, there were pockets of people that, I mean, you're on top of each other when you're in condo townhomes. It's like, but, you know, even still in that regard, there wasn't a lot of interaction. Except for the people that you chose to know. And so, you know, I think it's a societal shift. It's not just an interpersonal one.
Absolutely. Where's Sunny comment, and then your Michael's comment there. I lived in Vegas for 4 years and knew 4 neighbors. I lived in San Antonio for 5 weeks and know all the neighbors. Location.
Well, Sonny, I've been watching your exploits on Facebook, and you are a very busy new resident of San Antonio. Or is that where you are? San Antonio? Yeah.
San Antonio.
So, I mean, I think it takes that resolve. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet people, and that's the way it's going to be in order for it to become a thing. And I know people are busy, but I still think that there's something to be said for making the time to be neighborly.
Yep. So true. Debbie, are you still around? Do you want to give me a thumbs up if you want to join us? Did you see we had a counseling session yesterday, Debbie and I. It was pretty mutually beneficial.
I so wanted to see it, and I just could not log in. It just kept saying I'm unable to load this video.
It's so funny. Yeah, so I saw you in the chat. And then, so I'm gonna bring Debbie on now. It was quite therapeutic.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hi. How are you doing, Misty? It's nice to see you.
So good. You know, this time, well, it was a week ago, last year, Debbie was here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. We were swinging around on silks and having hammocks and having such a great time. No, it wasn't last year. It was 2019. So, I don't ever know what year it is.
It was such an epic time.
Oh, so much fun. So much
Loved
fun.
It.
There's the Mavati gyms in this area have the silks and the hammocks and all that stuff in their studio.
Where's that?
In Toronto, basically all over Ontario. Like Ottawa has them, and some other places. So
nice.
It is so fun because, you know, I'm always talking about play. It is literally playtime that kicks your ass. And then you're like, oh, I thought I was playing. I didn't realize I was doing so much work. When can I do it again? It's
Yeah, yeah.
just joy. It's joy. Hi, Troy. You just get to swing around and be 8
Do you
in a
know
very
what you
safe
do?
way.
You get to be 8, but then you get the benefits of the adult mind. Is it a benefit of an adult mind? But you know, uh, you get to play.
I highly recommend it. Highly,
Yes.
as you know.
How's it going, Troy? I see Troy there, and Leah just popped in. Sorry, Debbie, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking it would be fun if we were in the studio right now.
I haven't
With a
been in a
hammock.
studio
With
for so
hammock.
long I might faint. I will be
No.
like, whoa, a studio. But yeah. I think what's great about it is, when you talk about you get to play, but then you get to have that adult mind. It's very, very much that. It's like, okay, when I was a kid, I probably would have gone full on savage on this thing and like ended up splattered on the wall. I have the common sense sometimes of, knowing my limits, but the decision making to say I'm going to push those limits or not. And there's always a way to up level.
Always. Yeah.
I gotta give this a try.
Oh my
You
god,
have,
you really do.
Yeah, that'd be super fun.
you
Troy,
have
have
to
you ever
try the
tried this?
trapeze, by the way.
Trapeze,
Like
yeah.
like the flying trapeze. Oh,
Right.
I think you would like that because of, and I think you would like the negotiation with yourself.
Ah. Do you like more speed, Martin? Or do you like things slow?
Uh, Either. Don't necessarily have a preference. Yeah. Either.
Misty, we do hammock meditation now as well, which is just like chill.
Listen, if I sit still for 30 seconds, I'm asleep. So since I seem to have given up sleeping at night,
I have the cutest picture of you in the hammock. You know, when you were all cocooned inside in your face, and you've just got this beaming, glowing
that's because
smile.
I was having so much fun. There's something about, listen here, peeps, if you've never been in a hammock, there is something about getting in the hammock, like your whole body is in it. You're in, some sort of crisscross position where you're just kind of all nuzzled in, and then just letting the sides close, and you're in your own little burrito. There is something so great from a sensory perspective that allows it, like the whole world slows down, and then it's a little toasty, and you're just in there and you're breathing, and it just feels so zen. I listen, best thing in the world.
Aww. I love it. I love hearing about it. I really miss it. I want to come across again. Yeah. But
one day
things will happen. Or you'll come over here.
Well, that's going to happen.
Yes.
Martin and I we're already
making our
planning
list. Yes.
Conversation world domination.
Okay, good. Make
Yes.
it over this way.
Working title.
Yes. We might have to shorten it a little bit, but
Right.
you've got to start somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fun to hear Misty just share the power of the work that you do there, Deb, as well. Like, I mean, we have friends in the room that you don't have to worry about having to brag for yourself, right? So.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was actually saying is like when the hammock does the work, or you know what I mean, like the play does the work, and then I like to sit back with, like, so if Misty's saying there the benefit of it, it's just nice to sit back and hear what people say. Like, it's
and
nice.
get the experience. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's usually very soulful. Like, it's usually very personal, private. Like it's quite it's a big thing. It's a big deal to that person.
Yes.
Which is that's when you can't really put it into words for them. Like, it's because it's their energy. Like, as they speak, they, it's like how they are, rather than,
yes,
I had 10 clients and I had, 100 people and this amount of money. And, it's like, I that's why I guess I don't really brag in that way, like this person had so many clients and students and people and money. It's more feeling of the person, like, oh my God, the hammock,
Yes.
right, type. And I
Absolutely.
can't
The
do
power
that
of the
for them.
testimonial, right?
That's
I feel
exactly it.
like somebody else talking about the good that I do, it just seems to ring better or more powerfully than me talking about it. When I'm talking about myself and my accomplishments, it's like wah wah, and I don't even want to hear myself talk about it. Like it's not that I'm not proud of myself or whatever, but it's like you're only as good as your last accomplishment sometimes. But to
Well,
hear that you've
yeah.
impacted somebody's life enough
Yes.
that they want to talk to you about it or talk to other people about it, and they do it when you're
Yes.
in the room, I think that is a powerful thing, because a lot of time, in a lot of cases, people won't take that minute unless it's something that was really important to them.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I just like stories, so it doesn't matter who the story's coming from. I'll listen. You know what I mean? Like you hear the story from the person, and that's fantastic. When I hear Misty share some story of something that she's accomplished and done, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. That also lends to who she is and not necessarily like even necessarily your accomplishments, like that sense of like, I did this as I was growing up, as I was working, as I was in whatever. Those are connecting points with the people that we're working with too, right? So those are all pieces of the puzzle. So if I say, well, I grew up and I used to ride horses and now I'm doing Pilates, has nothing to do with that, then you're like, oh, that's fascinating. Is that another bee that we gotta?
Yeah, these carpenter bees are like, it's like a flying Zamboni in my ear. It's terrible.
Yeah. So Missy, I totally agree with you on that. Like that, there's so much power in someone else's story of their experience with us, right?
For sure, for sure. And even then, if I have to talk about anything, it's not going to be like what Debbie was talking about. It's not going to be like, well, I have this number of clients and I make this much money. It's
No.
because that's not even interesting to me. Don't get me
No.
wrong. I love having clients. I love making money. But at the end of the day, that's not what keeps me going to work.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I mean, other than eating, like that is important. But what keeps me going to work is the stories and that joy that you see in somebody's face
Yes.
when they have an aha or they just feel better. It's just, I think if you're doing this kind of work and that doesn't motivate you, then you should probably find something else to do, because that's the
Yes.
humanness of the work that we do.
I like that.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I liked, I think the title of the show yesterday was something about legacy. And
Yes.
I think it's such an important word, especially when you've been doing this, whatever you do, for such a long time. And I think that there are fields where that's not even an issue, but we have, I mean, I'm sure accountants have legacies too, but, and I'm not saying accountants, but what I'm saying is what we do is so high touch that, it really all comes down to impact.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
whether the impact is a small I or a big one, the goal, I think the hope is that, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, that people will say, that person helped me in a way that's important to me and that I'll always cherish.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's going on, Meryl?
Hi, Meryl.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. So that legacy piece is definitely part of it. Yeah, musing on that. But sorry, Debbie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, the daily impact is really nice. Like the daily impact on people, just to know that we have an influence like a powerful influence, more than we sometimes realize as well.
For sure. For sure. I remember I was at a conference. Now I can't remember where this conference was. I can't even remember most of it. But I remember taking a session with Troy. And I remember, because Troy just has this sort of something about him. I can't put a finger on it, but I just remember being like, wow, you know, this is all information that I know, that I've seen, blah, blah, blah. But the way he presents it in his little cha-cha-cha, whatever it is, Troy, I know it's not literally a cha-cha-cha, but you know what I'm saying. You know, it was just impactful to me. And it was something that I don't remember anything else about anybody else that was there. Maybe Karen Clippinger, maybe. I think that was the same conference. But Troy's poof was like very, very impactful. And that's, you know, again, it comes back to legacy. If somebody,
I'd love to
watching
bring
in Cleveland.
Troy. I'd love to bring you on if you want to give us a thumbs up and join us. It'd be so fun. Yes.
And if you haven't had a
So
chance
funny.
to take anything from Troy, like, make the time.
Yeah, I wanna.
I have, and I use so many nuggets from my lessons with him. He's great.
He's so
It's so
great.
much-
He's so dynamic.
Yes, so dynamic, and I think Misty, Debbie, and I think we all kind of get. It's so much more fun to talk about someone else. Like,
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
right?
Guaranteed.
That would that we just love to just shower them with how awesome they are.
Yes.
Like, I can do this all day. Right? Like,
Yeah.
just like there's some good people.
You know what? I feel like people don't take the time to look in the mirror and give themselves a little something. And if I can do that for somebody, you know, it makes them feel good. It makes me feel good because I'm recalling something that was positive.
Yes.
Yeah. Sympathetic joy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For sure. I find it to be uplifting all around, right? And you know, it's something that I will always do. It's that whole thing about bringing people up with you, even if it's just bringing up the mood. It's important to me.
Yes.
All right, I
saying
will say.
it,
Go ahead, Debbie.
and saying it. Like, it's one thing to think it and feel it, but the actual making the moment to say it about the person.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Troy. Yeah, I will. I'll share. It's always hard for me to share this because I always get a little bit choked up. But I had an experience with a client who was a client for a long time, and she had a double lung transplant, and it was really touch and go. But when I met her, she was just, you know, she'd been told, okay, well, you have to stay healthy enough to get high enough on the list. And that was weird. But she came in, she said, can you do anything with me? She's wearing portable oxygen. And I was like, sure. For 0.001 seconds, I was like, okay, well, I've never done this. Okay. And then so we did it, and we just did it. We made it work, and we did class, and we had privates, and then eventually she got into groups, and we just got her better. We did all the good things. And then eventually it went back downhill, and she had to get the transplant. And it was this scary thing because you'd never know if it's really going to happen. And I tell this story because it's weird when somebody gives you props and you're like, well, I didn't do anything. All I did was teach what I know. But, you know, she called me 4 days after the transplant, and she FaceTimed me, and I was like, oh, am I going to be okay to see this? And I turn on the screen. She's sitting there on the bed like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, what? What is this? And she's like, you got to come down and see me. And so I did a couple days later, and I got to meet her docs. And her docs are like, so this is the woman that had the woman on 15 liters of oxygen doing Pilates? And I was like, yes, because I thought I was going to be in big trouble. And He's like, I want to know about what you did. You saved her life. She was on the heart-lung machine asking for a TheraBand so she could keep her arms going because she didn't want to disappoint you.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's so tough to talk about, right? To hear this from like one of the preeminent transplant surgeons, and to see her and she's still doing well. You know, she's still a client, she's still a friend. And, you know, that's one of those places where you just don't know what you don't know. And sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes it's good to just say, you know, I know other people, other Pilates teachers who said to me, I would never have done that. You're kind of a cowboy. And I was like, well, I do really love leather, and chaps would be a fabulous thing for me to add to my wardrobe. But it's not about being a cowboy. It's about believing in the work, and believing in myself, and believing in this person in front of me who came to me and said, this is something that I want. And I'm not going to limit you. Never. You know? So when I think about legacy, I think about, you know, what does it mean to show up all the way in a way? It's just so humbling, in a way that is just, that brings you to like your most basal level. And I'm just here and I'm a person and I'm going to contribute and I'm going to do everything I can. It's very powerful to me. I'm always pondering deep thoughts, and that's one that I always come back to, because if I would have been even slightly scared, I probably would have said no, or I would have said, you know, get these waivers filled out and this and that, and maybe I wouldn't have showed up the way I did.
The way you did.
That's how I know you, though, Misty. You're so you're intuitive, but you're just there for people. Like you do what is trusting in the given moment. You do what is it's really hard to put into words. Yeah, you give and you do, and you hold space in a way that's really you're just beautiful. You're authentic. You're really like true in it as well.
Thanks. We have to be there for each other.
Yeah, I think more so as well, maybe as in like within the industry, if you see what I mean. Like, I think it sounds like individually we all hold space for clients, and then it would be nice to have that within the, you know, within the industry more as well. Like the celebrating the impact. Like when Martin was saying, like, I think each of us would really hold space to let the other person totally shine. And you actually probably need that, because we give that to others. So without knowing, it's actually really important to hear other peers say what they value with you. It more than you know, because that's a thanks, not from your clients. That's a thanks from other people that are seeing you as what we equally, you know, try and do and deliver, but very much on our own. So it's to be seen, you know, or to be valued within the industry is something that I think would take us further and fly and soar and, you know, grow.
Yes. You know, I think you're right about that in so many ways, Debbie, because, you know, when I look back to 2020 and all the blow up that happened, and then, you know, coming forward to now, I don't feel, I mean, I feel like there are those of us, Martin, you are at the top of this list, I think, but there are those of us that really work to have conversations, to keep people together, to keep people realizing that they're not on an island, they're not forgotten, they have a place. But I feel like as an industry, as a whole, not just the islands out here, but you know, your PMAs, your HIJK Element of Peace certification agencies, whatever it is, you know, I feel like there's a bit of a responsibility that's lost, because we're all better when we have this whole collective breath happening. And that doesn't
Yes.
mean that we all have to be alike, and it doesn't mean that we all have to do the same thing. But, you know, we do have to listen to each other, and we do have to uplift each other. And there's a point where we have to believe in one another. And you can't really do that if you're kind of just peeking around corners and hoping that someone over there is like-minded. We could use a bit of kumbaya, so to speak, with marshmallows and s'mores and like the whole nine. I feel like it would do the industry good. I feel like it would bring a little bit more positivity back into it, if that's possible. Which I think it could be.
I think it could be. And it's, you know, Coach Kay Pilgrim was on last week on one of the freestyles, and he was talking about with his basketball teams, he's trying to cultivate family. And I like the way he said, like, you're not going to get along with everybody. You're not going to have everyone like you as the coach per se, but if you can create an environment where people like one another, will fight for one another, recognize that they're all going the same way, and just can build some camaraderie amongst themselves, even if they don't necessarily always get along with you or see eye to eye with you, you've created an environment where everyone will want to level up and will want to be great. That was his wording.
Yeah.
And just to use the example, Missy, what you're saying, like that's an example of your greatness. And the complexity of what you said there isn't that complex. It's not, it's like, it's a simple formula. It's being present, and it's being humble, and then it's just being yourself. And I think that we need to be more of ourselves and be more present. And everything that Debbie said after you shared that story, like all of those things aren't so unattainable. It's not like you said, well, I went back to school and got my doctorate and that's how I helped her.
Right.
You didn't say any of that.
Right. Yeah, we need to do for each other what we do for our students and our clients.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it is easy to do. I think, you know, it's as basic as sharing a post. It's as basic as sharing a story. How did you meet? What was the interaction? Oh, you were in my town last year. Yeah, let me share that post. You know, whatever it is, it's making the web a little tighter. And it really isn't hard to do. And like family, you don't always agree. But that doesn't mean you have to like go completely like guerrilla style and blow up their house. No, you have a conversation. It doesn't have to get ugly, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
You definitely bring out the good in people though, Misty, because I just as I'm going to give specific story here as well, is that when I was in your studio, so obviously I was just like new, as come over, was just like, you know, first day, get used to the equipment, the setting, the room, the people and everything, and you instantly were just just talking about all the good and what you instantly were just like, wow, like what I'm getting from this. And like right at the very beginning, you were like, I think you stopped everybody and you were like, wait a minute, like, whoa, what? It was like, you just had a moment of like, and just doing that, just, you know what? It just made me feel instantly, oh, wow, she gets it. She likes it. Like, it was like, I didn't instantly then have to be like, right, I hope they're liking it, win them over type thing. It was like, oh, she gets me. She gets this. Great. I'm just going to do what I do best. And I like could run with it. Like, I felt like I delivered the best I could ever deliver in person because of your interaction with me. Like you like, and you know, it was very, or seemed like very real. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like put on or anything. And it it was just, yeah, it's just great. And I think that presence is really powerful. And
well, when you come to me, whether it's on screen or in person or whatever it is, you're coming to my home. And when you're in my home, you're family. And so I feel like, you know, that's easy for me. That's easy for me because I would, well, most of my family anyway, I would do the same thing. You know, if they bring something to me that brings me joy, then I'm going to be really excited about it. And, you know, the thing about Dragonfly, this is probably the only thing I miss about having bricks and mortar studios, is that I really built that community spirit, that family spirit. And aside from one class that happened 4 days a week, that was a horrible nightmare every single week, because the people in it were so mean. Aside from that, everybody rooted for everybody. The competition was internal and the support was communal. And that is what I think this needs to be, all of this. It is a very personal pursuit. But even when you're working internally, you need to know that you're doing okay.
Yep.
So I'm happy that you got that when you were here, because you know, I think sometimes I just forget about it, but that's just who I am. You know, I love guests in the space, and I love conversations, and I just, from the minute I talked to Debbie for the first time, I was like, oh my God, am I really going to do this and have her come over and it's going to be a fortune and whatever? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. I believed in her from the first time we talked, and I still do. And if you haven't had a chance to play in Debbie's sandbox, I'm telling you, you're missing out. Make it happen.
I love the love in this room.
oh, it's good.
It's special.
Good. It is.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I
just
feel
brings some
really
balance,
appreciative
right?
right now. I feel really like, wow, we're like all over the world, and it's like, wow, there's like people rooting for you. It does feel really good.
Yep.
For sure.
What I would say is, this is like a moment of appreciation and a feeling and an industry thing. What I would say is, because you know, you think about the cobwebs, and you think, you know, there must be people out there that struggle, that don't reach out, that don't speak, that don't, you know, use social media, and that, but you know what, even them hearing this conversation happening with other people, I'm sure would make them feel like, okay, you know, I could think about doing it with someone else, or I could think about, you know, that happening. Like, I think it's even important to hear it, even if someone wouldn't reach out or wouldn't have a conversation, you know, on,
Absolutely. Well, I think even yesterday, like, you know, Debbie, you and I were laughing at the fact that like we were having this like eye to eye conversation about our discomfort, and it's like people were just watching us wrestle with this internally, and it's like people can identify with that, they connect with those inner feelings, and it's something that they may not share, may not have the confidence to put out in the world like that, but because we did, they can see themselves in our conversation, and that helps them, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's like being
That's
naked in
important.
public, right? It's I'm sharing this vulnerability, and it's us, but it is us. And, you know, can you talk through that? Can you work through that without like having a meltdown, crawling underneath the table? And if you manage to not crawl under the table, who else might be having those same feelings and that same level of emotion over that same issue or similar? And hopefully that helped them. Hopefully that helped them maybe get a different perspective, or at least know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Again, we're on islands around here in this type of business that we do. It can be very, very solitary. And I like what you said, Debbie, about remembering to reach out to somebody who may not reach out to you for help, guidance, whatever. Just a hello goes a long way.
Mm, mm. And like definitely, I was laughing when you were saying, oh, you know, that you're able to have this conversation and not hide under the table, because I'm sure at both times Martin and I were like,
I
we
know.
actively were like doing this, like in
Yes,
our like.
true story. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think yeah, the reaching out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
it's needed.
just
We
say
don't have
it.
to be robots.
Yeah, yeah. And there is power. There is so much power in saying it. Like just say it. Like say your fear. Say your fear, talk it out, because it's like the little team meeting, it's in your head, it's in your mind a lot of the time. So then even just talking out, you know, even just knowing there's other people that have it, or there's somebody listening to it, or I'm saying it, so therefore I'm gonna speak it out and realize and understand it more, or find solutions, or but there is power in speaking your fears for sure. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. We gotta go before we get kicked off here. But I just have to say to both of you, and I hope this is the case for everyone who's watching, I always walk away from conversations like this with such a greater sense of purpose. Like I walk into the rest of my day on purpose. There's a higher level of intentionality of just being present, of saying hello, of boasting about other people around me. Like you almost feel like the things that we like about ourselves and like about our industry and like about the people we work with, they're so like heightened. Like those nerve endings are so like raw now. And I'm like, hey, how are you going? Hey, look at that. Let's look. Like I feel like I just do that for the rest of my day. I'm just on such a high from these conversations. So thank you to my family in the room.
yay! Oh,
And back at you, Martin. I agree. It's a really nice way to start a day, and it's a really nice to check in with people that you really enjoy, and get all of that with these chats. I love it.
Yes, I love it.
it's fabulous. I really value it.
Same. Same.
All right, party people. Well, I don't know who's still in our chat here. Thank you. Oh, Troy is still here. Sunny, Shannon, thank you so much for sticking through the conversation. For everyone who passed through and is going to watch the replay, we do this every day. We got 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have amazing co-hosts like Misty and resident pop-in people like Debbie coming all the time. So it's such a good time. Thank you so much, my friends.
Thank you for the space, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Bye,
My
everyone.
pleasure as
Thank
always.
you.
All right, bye, everybody.
Adios.